Welcome to day 3 of this 21-day course only on YouTube for your brand communications. I'm Serena. This is Serena's Playbook. I have more than 20 years in comms and media, a chartered public relations practitioner, and I'm here to help you level up your strategic thinking. As a uh, it's odd to say, oh, as a thinker myself, but I really do push myself. I like to check my assumptions, try to zoom out as much as possible, and my postgrad in systems thinking is really helping me do that. In day 3, we're looking at your voice and your tone when you're communicating, and let's get into this. I hope you've enjoyed day 1 and day 2, and do all those wonderful things. Jump in the comment section, let me know how it's going for you. Pause at any point you want to jot down some notes. Let's go. So your brand, whether it's a personal one or personal one can be professional, whether it's you as an individual or an entity, it does sound different everywhere. It'll be sound different on Instagram versus email versus a crisis response when you have to manage your reputation. And what you want to ask is that due to inconsistency or is it strategic? For instance, today, knowing the difference between your voice being consistent on all platforms or your tone being changeable. Let's get into this. So, your voice is really who you are, it's a constant thing that goes on. Your tone would adapt, it'll be changeable. As I just mentioned. So that's a variable thing. And so you want to ensure that your voice, again, it comes back to day 1 where I was talking about your North Value, your guiding principles, and ensuring that you are being consistent in that, consistent in your voice, but your tone can change. It can adapt to the context, it can adapt to the platform that you're on. So you want to be a brand with a consistent voice, but a flexible tone. The tone can have that flexibility when it's needed. The confusion is when most brands think they can really only have one way of communicating. Um, and that's not necessary. So they end up sounding robotic in a crisis or very tone deaf when they need to celebrate something or they need to recognize certain stakeholders or audience segments, or they might end up changing their voice constantly and therefore they seem unreliable. So you need to sort of fix this. Just think, lock your voice, just lock in to your voice, but you can get really flexible with your tone. So let's talk about how you can do this. So in terms of your voice, you can pick a few things that will never change. It could be the style of vocabulary, it could be your sort of speaking sort of structure, your sentence structure, it could be your perspective, whether it's in first person or third person or we. It could be whether there's humor or not. Directness versus your diplomacy. It could even be sort of the style, how it looks. The things that you can definitely shift, which, gives you that flex with your tone, is how formal you are. Sometimes you can allow yourself some room to be informal. You can take the emotional temperature of the context and allow that to guide you. You can be variable in terms of your urgency, or your expression, uh, with empathy. These are all sort of different sort of variables that you would apply depending on the platform, the moment, the event, the opportunity, the need. What is the objective? Your context will always determine your tone. If there's a crisis, you would need to be you'd need to have empathy, you need to be clear, you need to have an accountable tone. If you're celebrating something, you would need to be enthusiastic, and perhaps be inclusive to all of your stakeholders and all of your sponsors and your partners and your audience segments. If you were educational, of course, you would need to be very clear in your communication, be patient, be thoughtful, and be thorough in your tone. If you're being your sales self, This requires clarity, be succinct, concise, confident, and be all about the benefits, being very sort of benefit focused. But your voice, the fixed things, the things that you've locked in will stay the same underneath all of that change, all of that flex. So let's talk about some of your voice constants. Now, you can write 3 to 4 non-negotiable voice elements that you are definitely not going to compromise on. These will never change regardless of the situation. So what makes you sound like you? Just it could be the setup of how you communicate. It could be your format, your structure, whether it's 7, 8 paragraphs, always in your Substack post or just a couple. But, if they come to recognize you, your voice is a thoughtful introduction, some questions, some prompts, some reflection, a conclusion, that kind of thing. Again, it would be different for each platform. So see if you can write 3 to 4 non-negotiable voice elements. Then you would create your tone matrix, if you like. So you would list 6 to 4 common contexts that perhaps you communicate in for your brand. And then for each context, define any sort of appropriate tone shifts, like shifts in your tone, for instance. Is there a crisis? Is there a launch? Is there something educational? Is there some sort of community engagement? And then note down what changes for each of those shifts. Um, and then what stays the same. That can really help you to identify the things that have to remain locked and not flexible. Your step 3 would be to test against any recent content. So pull 3 to 4 recent pieces that you've put out from different contexts and check if they share any sort of voice elements, or um, do they appropriately shift in their tone. Doing this can actually reveal a lot to you. So again, check if they share any voice elements. Do they appropriately shift tone? And then where did you break voice when you perhaps should have just shifted tone? Are there moments where you uh, changed up your voice, the things that you should be fixed on, and when really you just needed a sort of a shift in your tone? Step 4, you could write this out. I am a fan of writing things out, um, and having them printed out, having them ready so you can always refer to them. Write your voice tone guide, and only one page is required. Like a one page is always good. So for your voice, you'll write down 3 to 4 constants no matter what. And for your tone, for the shifts in your tone, write down a context and then any appropriate adjustments. And this will be very much tailored to you. And this becomes your consistency tool. Remember, your voice is one that will be trusted as being consistent, and your tone is a way to connect through sort of appropriate adaptation when required. And as a brand, you've got to master this, and you've got to be recognizable and not robotic about it. We're going to talk about authenticity in day 4, so do tune in for that. It's about being real and how that can be quite performative. So we'll talk about sort of that and many themes within it. I hope you've enjoyed day 1, day 2, day 3 so far of this 21-day communications course only here on YouTube for your brand communications. And do subscribe. You can get in touch with me in the comment section. Come to Serena's Playbook on Discord, and many other ways that you can engage with me and my content. I appreciate your time and your attention. Let's level up your communications as well as your strategic thinking. And I'll see you in, what is it, day 4? We'll see you in day 4.